Hey, welcome back to another Insider, and today we start our month of April. Yes, we are in April already. Where did this go? It really gone really fast. And after taking care of business in March, we start this April with talking about something that I find really important, and I have some news as well. So I'm gonna talk about learning Portuguese as a second language because I have just launched my course for adults. I have had my course for children since Jan, and now I finally finished and published my the adult version of the course. So in this Insider, we are going to talk about it. And come with me, let's talk Portuguese. So in the beginning of the year, I told you about all the surprises I had in for you, and one of them was my Portuguese course, my language course, Portuguese as a second language for children, that I had curated and published in my school, Updated Words at Teachable. At the time, it wasn't possible to publish the adult version because of time constraints. As you can imagine, it is a long process to research the course, to prepare the lessons, build all the, the PowerPoints, the slides for each lesson, create the content, everything. And then, of course, the process of recording the lessons. It is a very long process, and of course, that takes time. And sometimes things don't go to plan because, of course, this is something that it's not my main business. As you know, I am a translator, and that is my main business. And of course, if I receive if I have a project, a translation project, I had to stop everything else because, of course, I had my my business going. So, and that ended up causing me not to launch the two courses at the same time, which was what I really wanted to do. But after launching the course for children, I started all over again. Research was done, so this second course took me less to build and get ready because all the research was done, was just to tinker with a few things. Of course, adults are not going to need a mascot or things like that, so it was in some ways easier to prepare. And here it is. It is launched. It is at my school, Updated Words at Teachable. I'll leave the link below, and you can access the course and enjoy it. I'm also having again a promo code Portuguese 25 for everyone that joins this course and the bundle. Yes, I have the family plan. If you want the entire family to learn Portuguese, you can buy the adult and the children version of the course and save $100 off the total cost of the two courses. So if you purchase any of these courses, I'm going to launch again the promo code Portuguese 25, Portuguese 25, but the code is written in Portuguese, for the language course for children, for the language course for adults, and for the family pack. At this stage, all the other courses are not promoted. It's just for these three. Use this promo code and get a bonus. So let's talk about the course. I really wanted you to talk about the course. So in this course, just like what happened for the children's course, you will learn the rules and the structure behind the language, so you build your independence and your fluency. I think this is really important because it helps you be independent and not just learn a few sentences that get you by or something like that. My idea was that if I was to teach Portuguese, I was going to teach it properly. I was going to teach it the way I learned it. Of course, it's always going to be different, and that was my main challenge, because when you try to teach your mother tongue is harder than any other, because you don't learn it with the rules or from the rules. You start speaking when you're a baby, so it's kind of an intuitive process, a copying process. You copy what your parents say and all that, and then you start talking. And then when you go to school, you start learning the rules. So it's a different process for natives. But I tried to create an environment in both courses where I teach you and I give you that independence to delve into things and to research and to get that knowledge going. So you learn the rules of the grammar, the structure of the sentences, everything, the classes of words and how to apply the classes of words, because Portuguese is, comparing to English, is a very complex language. I believe all languages are very complex because all languages have their very specific rules, their very specific traces, cultural traces of the countries they are spoken. But it's when you come from, for example, one of the major challenges I find with Portuguese that we, for example, don't have as much in English is the grammatical gender. It is important to understand that in Portuguese we have that grammatical gender, and I know this is a very delicate topic at the moment. I'm not talking about any genders or anything. I'm talking about grammar here, and the Portuguese language, it's based on this. You have feminine and masculine words, and if you don't agree with that gender, your sentence won't make sense. So you always need to be aware of this, and it's one of the major challenges because, for example, if you are an English native speaker, you won't have that as much. Yeah, we have some words, of course, but most of our words are kind of neutral. So it's easier to learn in some ways, because we don't really need to be constantly thinking of that. Whilst in Portuguese, you do need to think about that. It's the same, I believe, in French. I'm not sure about Spanish, but I think Spanish would be the same. So it's one of those situations that you really need to think that. And this is what I created for you. It's that I give you all these rules. I give you all the phonetics, because I think it's very important. The sounds are really, some of them are really tricky for an English speaking person because we don't have those sounds. And when you don't have that sound, it's really hard, some of them to acquire. That's why I keep on repeating myself in the lesson. I keep on repeating the pronunciation of the words so you can hear it as many times as possible. And of course, I always encourage you to stop the video and repeat as many times as you need, etc. So I think all of this encourages you to not only acquire more and more vocabulary, but learn the language from its core, from its rules, not just a few sentences to get you by if you go on holidays to Portugal. Because in my view, that won't really get you by if you go and you start talking and you think you have some confidence to say a few sentences, but then you are talking to a native speaker that may say something that goes a little bit outside the box of what you have learned, you won't be able to have independence to communicate with that person without resorting to going back to English, for example. So I think that is very important. If you learn the rules, if you learn how to use the words effectively, and then you can use the dictionary to acquire more vocabulary. Of course, the course will give you lots of vocabulary. That's one of my main things. But if you really get into that into that routine, into that dynamics of getting all the rules and getting everything, and you know how to build a sentence, and you know how the words are going to sound like, and you know, for example, all those cultural traces that are very common in Portugal, you will identify those and you'll say, okay, this person means this because this is a cultural trace. This is something that is very peculiar to the Portuguese. And I believe that's very important if you are learning a second language. I'll be talking about learning a second language next week. I'll delve into this. Today is just about my course. So as I said, you will learn the rules, the phonetics, the words. You will be able to develop your skills because you know the basics, you know the fundamentals of things, how you can build a sentence, what are the main elements in the sentence, you know all the words that you can use, the verbs, the tenses, the adverbs, the adjectives, the nouns, everything, and then you know where those words are supposed to go and what are their job in that particular sentence or in any sentence, so you know exactly what to do with them. I think that is the basic tool that I want to provide you with, is that knowledge of the basics, the core of the language, so you can really develop your language and develop your knowledge. I won't teach you just sentences. Of course, you're going to learn sentences because that's how you exemplify your learning. I teach you a certain rule, I teach you a certain thing, and then of course I build a sentence to exemplify how it works. However, I'm not going to teach you just sentences. I'm teaching you the core of the language. Now, learning with the native, I think, is very important because if you learn with someone that is a native speaker of that language, if you learn with someone that has lived in that particular country, again, as I said, knows all those cultural traces, all those little expressions, those idioms that you are going to encounter if you are going to go to that particular country, you're going to see it. And in the case of the Portuguese language, and in the case of the Portuguese, you will find lots of things that, and I talk about them in the course, words that I use that, you will find, oh, but they saying this, but what do they mean? And, it's a very complex dynamics with the language, all the interjections that they use. There is some thing that is very peculiar. It's that, local reference that sometimes is just rhetoric. It doesn't mean anything, but it's just there. And it's very common with the Portuguese. There's lots of things that are just... they are just common, they're just particular from that language, and if you learn that, you are empowered to go to Portugal and talk to a Portuguese person and be able to understand, first, to understand what they say to you, and secondly, you are able to reply to whatever they might be asking you or telling you, and have an effective conversation with the Portuguese person. Of course, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. Learning a second language, it's never easy. You have to put effort into it. You have to learn the rules. You have to learn all these pieces of information. But that's where I come into play. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm teaching you and I'm giving you all those tools to empower you to be able to go out there and explore, just like I did when I learned English. So it's very important. One of the things that I would like you to develop, and this was, and I said this in the course, and this was told to me by one English teacher in my high school. I wasn't performing that well at English back then, would have thought, and she told me that I would never learn English if I did not start thinking in English. That sounded ridiculous at the time. I thought, she must be insane. It's impossible. So if I cannot speak the language, if I don't know anything about this language, how can I speak and think, let alone think in a language that I obviously don't speak? Now I know what she meant by that, and yes, she was 100% right. The reason being is that if you are thinking in your own language, applying another language, it's gonna fail. You're gonna fail. First of all, because of the structure of sentences, the way that things are done, it may be different. For example, if you are a French native speaker and you are trying to speak Portuguese and you think in French, somehow it may work because everything is very similar. The structure of sentences, the grammar rules, everything is very, very, very similar between French and Portuguese. So if you are a French native speaker, you might get away with it. If you are an English native speaker, it's definitely not going to work the same way that it wasn't working the English for me because I was thinking in Portuguese. For example, you have in Portuguese, again, because of all that gender reference, all that grammatical gender, you have the articles that you have to put on every noun and all that we don't have in English. So if you are going to think about things in Portuguese, you are going to say something like the Anthony is drinking the coffee. So this does not make sense because I am thinking in Portuguese and I'm trying to make a sentence in English. As you could see, I was even struggling. So it's something that I think is very, very important, and learning with a native speaker can help curb these problems. Again, being aware of variants, it's essential. Because if you are going to visit a country or if you are going to live in a foreign country, you need to be fluent for that country. You need to speak the language of that country. And sometimes there is variance and you need to be aware of those variants. It happens with English, it happens with Portuguese, it happens with Spanish, it happens with so many languages. So if you are aware of the right variant that you're talking about, because they're not the same thing. I hear a lot of people asking if Portuguese and Brazilian, if it's not the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. It's two different countries, two different cultures. They use the same core language, but two different variants. And they are very different. So let's respect that. Because sometimes there are words in Brazil that are very, very common in Portugal and have absolutely no negative or derogative or anything connotation that can be very offensive in Brazil. And if you are going to Brazil and you are going to use these words, of course you're going to cause offense. Of course you're going to be in trouble because the Brazilian person is going to be offended. And the same happens in Portuguese. There's words that are used in Brazil that may be offensive in Portugal, and that's fine. That's I believe the wonder of languages is this diversity, is this difference in all the variants that bring all these richness, all this, I would say, heritage to the language, and I mean, I think it's what makes languages so interesting and beautiful. So learning with the native is important, being aware of the variants so you know which variant you are going to learn. One of the problems that I find, for example, when you try to learn Portuguese, it's that a lot of the options in the market are in Brazilian Portuguese. And of course, nothing wrong with that. If you are going to move to Brazil, totally fine, that's for you. If you are visiting Brazil, that's the right course for you. I wouldn't say my course would be appropriate because my course is for the Portuguese language, so it's for the main language that is spoken in Portugal. But if you are moving to Portugal, or if you are if you are going to visit Portugal and you want to learn Portuguese, or if you have Portuguese background and you want your child to learn Portuguese, then if you are going to put your child in or enroll your child in a course that is going to teach the child the Brazilian Portuguese, then the child is not learning the right language. They're learning the language of Brazil, not the language of Portugal. So it is important to be aware of these things. It's just the same thing as with English. If you want to go to the UK, you're gonna learn the English from the UK, the main language. You're not gonna learn, for example, the English of the United States because it's not totally correct to use it there, or Australian English, or South African English, or New Zealand English. So it's the same thing. Very important to be aware of the variants and all the problems that can cause with a different variant being spoken. And then I want you, as I said in the beginning of the course, with this course I want to help you learning with confidence, with lots of practical exercises. At the end of each lesson I include a little exercise that consolidates all the knowledge, all the things that you learn in that lesson. And then at the end of each module, I will have a little quiz for you about all the module. You will have the speech labs. I have the speech labs. This was already included for the children's lessons, and I included in the adults lessons as well. So you see more practical examples of situations, and of course acquiring vocabulary. Every lesson we use words, and at the end of the lesson there will be your glossary that we are compiling our glossary throughout the course, and then at the end you'll have a PDF file with all the glossary from this course. I'll give you also the links for dictionaries that you can use that are very good for your research. Some of the exercises, I don't put the words, for example, that you have to use. So I encourage you to go and search and try to get that confidence, because I think if you build that confidence, it's very important. So it encourages you building your vocabulary and being independent with your learning, and of course allows you to develop your skills. But I'm always here for you as well, and that is the main thing. I encourage you all this independence, but I'm always there. You have my email. You can always send me an email, ask me questions, and I'm here to help as many times as you need. I think this was my approach. I think this is a good approach to teaching a language to someone. I think empowering the person to learn from scratch and learn all the bits and pieces that you really need to know to be able to confidently communicate in the country, in this particular case Portugal, but also knowing that independence comes also with the support of your teacher, your instructor, which is me, that will be always there should you need any help, should you have any questions. It is a comprehensive course, I think. and I did it. It was suggested by me. To me. I think I said it at the beginning of the year. It was suggested to me by an acquaintance that told me, why don't you build a course, a Portuguese course? Because at the time she was trying to do a course, because this person was married to some Portuguese national, and she wanted to learn the language and communicate with the family abroad and all that, all this situation. And she was very frustrated because everything she found was not in the right language. She would come back and her family would say, "Oh no, you're not speaking the right Portuguese. That is the Portuguese from Brazil. Is not the Portuguese." And she would be very sad and frustrated. And then she knew that I was from Portugal. She knew I am a translator. And she said, "Oh, wow, why don't you create a course?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And here it is. Here's my course, is my approach. I researched this course to try to go about this in a way that I think is a comprehensive and helpful way of making this course and making this a tool for you to learn, not just a way of you to get by. That's not my approach to learning, because if I'm just going to teach you sentences, if I'm just going to teach you how to get by, I'm not teaching you the language. So there's no point. There's no point of you, I would say, wasting your money in something that is just going to get you by. I don't want you to get by in Portugal. I want you to communicate effectively with people in Portugal. If you have a business, and if you have a business and you're extending your business into Portugal, and you need to communicate with authorities, or you need to communicate with clients there, for example, I want you to be able to send a proper email to a client in Portugal, or a proper email to an authority, ask questions if you will. And if you need to go to a government department or something, I want you to be able to understand what they say and be independent to deal with all these situations fluently and have that capacity. Just learning sentences won't get you by. I don't think will get you by. And we know our memory is very tricky, and you may learn all these sentences today, and then in a few months' time, you might forget them. So if you learn the core of the language, if you learn how to effectively and fluently speak the language, I think is something that stays. Of course, you need to keep training and maintain that language. Well, that's something that if you learn a second language, you have the responsibility to maintain it. But I think, and this is my approach, I think that if you learn the core of the language, it's much easier to maintain it than if you just learn sentences to get you by. So this was my course. It's in my school, Updated Words at Teachable. Use my code Português 25 and you get a 15% discount in this launching promotion. I will promote and I will give the promotion also to the children's course if you want to enroll the children course. But now you have the pack, you have the family pack where you can purchase the children and the adult course with a $100 discount. So each course is $150. But if you buy the family pack, it would be $200. So you would get $50 off each course, which would total a saving of $100. So enroll today. Just go at my school, Updated Words Teachable, and enroll. It's a really good course. It was really fun to prepare it. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of work. It took me basically last year, the entire year, working on the research for the course, on preparing the content for the course, everything. So it's a lot of work, but I think it's well worth it because it's a good tool. It's a fantastic course that will help you get that, especially that confidence in learning the language. And of course, knowing that I am here in the background, just should you need my help, I'm right here. And I think that's an assurance. It's not just someone that taught you a few sentences and then disappears and you never know where the person is. I'm always here, and my approach to this is a lifetime thing. Whenever you need me, my email is there, the school is there. You can always contact me. If you go to Portugal and maybe a few things and you need help, just drop me a line, and I'm always happy to help you and try to get you into the right mindset to learn this language. As I said, thinking in Portuguese is very important. Of course, you're not going to achieve that in the first lesson, so maybe you won't even, let's be realistic, you won't be even really fully thinking in Portuguese at the end of the course. In 50 lessons is obviously little for that, but if you keep on going with your learning and if you keep following all the rules and everything, you will achieve that. And maybe at the end of the course you will already be able, and I'm hopeful that you will already be building some thinking, some Portuguese thinking into your brain, and you already managed to get that going. And sometimes it's easy. My daughter, for example, she's doing the course, and I see a lot of that developing on her. So of course, she's still in the stages that she mixes up a little bit, and when she doesn't remember the word in Portuguese or she doesn't know, she will back it up with English, which is totally fine. And she's only 8, but the idea is that with the continuation and the developing the exercises, the dictionary, etc., she will build up that vocabulary and she will start using it. And she is I can see that happening when she communicates, for example, with my parents that are living in Portugal, and she's able to communicate with them, and she's able to maintain a conversation with my parents who do not speak English at all. My dad may know a few words, but not enough. And she's able to speak with my parents. And she actually, even here in Australia, when we meet friends that are of Portuguese background, she's able to actually say a few words and speak a few words. She's still shy, which is obviously common with children, but she can do it. So if she can do it, so do I. Or so do you, should I say. So enroll this course, come with me in this adventure through the Portuguese language. I'm here waiting for you, waiting to help you. I hope you really enjoy the course as much as I enjoyed doing it. It was really fun. A lot of work, but fun. And of course, any questions, I'll be always here to help you out. That's all for today. I hope you like this new course of mine. I hope you really it's an option for you if you are going to, for example, move to Portugal, or if you are going to do a trip there or stay there or have business with Portugal. I think this is a very good option because it allows you to communicate effectively with the Portuguese. I've said this many times. I think when you move to a country or you are doing business with a country, knowing the language opens doors. because you are able to be independent and do things on your own and communicate with the people, and be a part of that country if it's the case of moving into a country. I think knowing the languages, it's extremely important in my view. I think it's I wouldn't have it any other way. I think opens the doors for the culture of the country, for the people, because you are able to talk to them and share a little bit of, for example, share your culture with them, and then get also what they have to say about their own culture. And this is part of the exchange of cultures, and the good thing about if you move to another place. Of course, it's very helpful too if you, for example, have businesses with another country. It's important that you at least know the language, because obviously, again, it makes things easier if you're going to have a meeting in a country, and you are confident enough to go through that meeting without the need of an interpreter or without the need of a backup. It's easier for you. It boosts your confidence, and also it's a good thing. I'm not saying that using an interpreter is bad, of course not. I'm not going against my own industry. Of course, sometimes an interpreter may still be a wise decision, especially when there's legal things involved. If you are not still 100% confident, I would still advise an interpreter in some cases where there are going to be contracts involved, or something that it's going to be presented to you on the day, and you don't really have that still that capability of dealing with that sort of language. I'm not saying that just go on your own and you'll be fine. No, I'm not, by no means, that wouldn't be correct. But if it's a normal meeting of discussing products, something like that, you might be able to go with anyone. You might just be able to stand for yourself and speak. And that obviously makes an impression, I think. In a marketing perspective, in a business perspective, if you go and you stand up in a meeting and you are able to communicate with the people there in their own language, I think it signals that you are serious about what you're doing and you are really committed to make business with them and expand to their country and be part of it. So I think even on a business perspective, I think it's a good thing that if you are actually able to speak the language of the other country. And of course, of course, as a linguist, I was always going to say this, but I think learning a second language is always a great thing. Always. Because again, I think it opens horizons, because when you learn another language, you learn a bit of the culture of that language. And even if you don't live in the country where the language is spoken, when you learn the language, you automatically learn all the cultural traces, all those things that are actually opening horizons to different points of view, different ways of doing things, different systems, different cultures. And that is great. I think that is amazing. I remember when I learned French, and unfortunately, my French is almost non-existent at the moment. I still understand. If I hear someone speaking, I can understand what they say. The problem is I'm not capable of articulate anything anymore, which is why maintaining the language is important. Reading newspapers, doing all those sorts of things. It's good to keep the level going. But when I learned, and this was in high school, of course, it was great because you learn For example, I even learned the French national anthem. You learn all those, traditional songs. You learn traditional dishes, the regions. I learned about the wines. Yeah, I was in school, but there's nothing wrong about learning about a product that is produced, even though you cannot consume it when you are learning about it. We learn about all the regions and the wines, the cheeses, the amazing cheeses that France has. And this is great because it's knowledge. It's a lot of things that you are going to learn about another country and another culture. Of course, in my course, you're not going to learn about all the regions of Portugal and everything, because obviously I'm talking about when I learned French, it was included in the school curriculum, and it was an entire school year that I was learning through this. And it was through several years. I didn't learn everything in 1 year because I was having French for more than 1 year. So it would be impossible to emulate or copy any sort of, or implement a strategy or a curriculum that would be similar to what you learn in a school, because it's obviously through more than 1 year. But I tried incorporate as many cultural traces as I could, all those interjections, all those things that are very common of the Portuguese, because I think that's the great thing about learning languages. And of course, if you want to learn about Portugal and the regions of Portugal, the food of Portugal, you have my other YouTube channel, the Gadget channel, the Flying Gadget channel. That is the name. I'm starting. And there I had last year, I think, no, 2 years ago, I did a series about all the regions of Portugal with the food and all that. And all those things. It's there. You can visit my other YouTube channel and learn about all these things, the food of Portugal, the regions, the places to visit everywhere. It's there as well. So this is dedicated to the language. I could not include everything, of course. So I included the language, I included the culture of the country, I included a little bit of the history of the language, so I can put you in context, because I think that is very important. Of course, I also mentioned the orthographic agreement. This course does not comply with it, and I explain why, and with a practical example, because you were actually learning the language and you were actually learning why things happen and why the language is the way it is, and why it doesn't make sense to do what they are trying to do. So, just enroll, use the code. The code is on up until the end of April, and is Português 25. You get a 25% discount if you purchase the courses individually, and 25% discount for the family pack. This promotion is only available on my language courses. It's not available on the translation related courses, because obviously this is a month that I will dedicate to the Portuguese language. Of course, if you choose to purchase the family pack, you get a massive bonus, you get a massive discount, because the family pack has already taken $50 off each course. So each course will come up to $100 each, and then you will get another 15% off that. So it is very, very good. So if you choose to purchase the family pack, you definitely up for a bargain. So don't miss out. I'll leave the link for the school. Just go and enroll, and I'm here to help you. I'm here to delve into the Portuguese language. As for this video, put a like and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new insider every week. You know that a lot of you come and you don't leave a comment, you don't subscribe. I'm very happy that my channel is growing. I'm having more and more viewers on my videos, to which I'm extremely grateful for. However, I would love to have the opportunity of having more. And if you subscribe, if you put a like on the video, or even if you leave a comment, that helps the algorithm to spread the message to more people and reach out to a much bigger audience. So it's a win-win for everyone. So put a like, subscribe, and put a click on the bell so you get a notification every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next week. Thank you. Bye.